tonight we're going to talk about why are we tired and a functional medicine approach to why we're tired. This is me. This is all my information, my number, my email. This is my disclaimer. So this is not intended to diagnose or treat any condition. This discussion does not constitute or establish a doctor-patient relationship. This information given in this lecture is for information purposes only. Say that 10 times fast. I do not have any vested interest in any product or company referenced yet. And I am not being paid to advertise for any product or manufacturer. So this is me on the weekends, usually after working all week. Saturday morning, I'm feeling pretty exhausted. And fatigue. So fatigue is a persistent, subjective sense of physical, emotional, or cognitive tiredness. So your body is tired, your brain is tired. Or exhaustion that significantly interferes with desired functioning. So this is, can be super severe where you can't get out of bed. It can just be that you feel depressed and you just don't want to do things that you would typically do. But what is it really? So what causes all of this fatigue? So you can be drained, exasperated, fatigued, burned out. We have 6 dogs, so I'm dog tired all the time. And they like to poop in the house, so I'm pooped also. But there's all of these things. This is like how we feel. And this is the cost of it for every individual. So if you're feeling that way, it costs you. You feel depleted, right? When you're depleted, it's easier to be in pain. You feel more pressure. You feel less joy in life. You can feel overwhelmed and brain fog very easily, low energy. People are missing work because they're fatigued. People are missing work because they're depressed. So it actually costs the economy a lot of money. So where does this go? So we're experiencing all of these things, and we end up with diseases. We end up with disease and dysfunction. So from a functional approach, we want to really kind of nip it in the bud and catch it and make it better before we end up with cardiovascular disease or fibromyalgia or mood disorders, depression, chronic fatigue. Those are situations where your body just kind of learns a pattern and it repeats that pattern over and over and over. And the older we get, the less hormone support we have. It will just repeat unless we kind of step in with some kind of an intervention, hopefully a food first functional medicine approach. So why am I tired? It's because your mitochondria are broken. So mitochondria are the little cells, I get so excited about them because I love biochemistry. They're the little cells in the body that produce the energy, right? We have them all over the place and we need them to work and work and work. We need them to keep working. They can't stop because then we can't do things that we want to do, right? This is where we get our oxygen production from. This is where we get the energy for our heart to beat. So mitochondria, they help with our cell signaling. They help regulate the growth in the body. All of your biochemistry is run by mitochondria and ATP, which is like the currency. That's the bucks, right? We get it all from mitochondria. We get all our energy. So when we don't have energy, it's really these guys that we have to look at. So they maintain our bioenergetics, our biosynthesis, and all of our signaling. And with that energy, so if we look at the places in the body that use the most energy, the brain, the liver, the heart, the kidneys, that's about 7% of our body weight right there. And it uses 60% of our energy. So this is really where you can see how if we don't have energy, these 4 main systems are going to pull from other places so that they can still function, right? So your body's going to preserve your brain and it's going to let your legs run out of exercise, right? So there's a traditional medical approach where you go to the doctor and you have all these symptoms and they say, okay, we've got this new medication which is going to treat this symptom. And then you're going to have side effects, so we'll give you this medication for the side effects, or we'll just have this surgery, or we'll just do this injection, right? So that's the standard medical approach. Or there's a functional medicine approach, okay, where we look at the way the body functions And then we look at what is the root cause of how you got to where you are, and then we kind of pick away those pieces. So standard medical, this is like my favorite slides. So when you go to the doctor, you kind of look like this, right? And this is what they do. They kind of spray paint you and make you feel all good until those things don't work anymore. But the functional medicine approach, you come in and you have your symptoms, right? So you've got things going wrong. But instead of working up the tree, where we look at a diagnosis and we look at a treatment, we start to work down into the ground. So we look at the fundamental systems in the body. So is this digestive? Is this energy? Is this hormonal? Is this communication? Is this structure? And then we look at your life, and were there any things that happened before you were born? What was the stress of your mother when she was pregnant with you? What kind of triggers have happened? These are those moments where I feel like I was well until, and then after that, everything went bad. And then mediators. So these are things like long COVID or Lyme. These are things that kind of keep the ball rolling as far as illness and not feeling well. And then we try and use this bottom rung here is really modifiable lifestyle factors. So the things that we do every day that can either hurt us or we can change them around so that they can help us. So we have sleep and relaxation, exercise, nutrition, stress, relationships, traumas. We can mitigate the traumas. We can try and avoid environmental pollutants. So there's a lot of things that we can do. But when you have a healing encounter, what should that look like? Should it be going to a doctor's office, sitting there for 2 hours, then sitting in the room for a little bit, and then the doctor comes in for 2 minutes and writes a script and sends you for an x-ray, and then you're done? Your healer, really, it should be a nice, peaceful setting, right? It should be comfortable to go. You should feel comfortable there. The relationship, it should be a therapeutic partnership. It should be someone that's willing to listen to you and talk to you, right? So that you form a partnership. So when I work with people, if they're all in, I'm all in. So I get invested because I really want everyone to feel better. And then there's an explanation. So it's always important to me that I retell your story. I read it back to you to make sure that I've got it right, so that you have an opportunity to know that I've heard you, but also to correct me. If there's something about that story that was left out or something that's just not right or not making sense, you can give me further guidance, which helps me be a better clinician. And then belief and action. So I hear you, I believe you, and we're going to come up with a plan together. So that's the whole therapeutic encounter. And then we take your life and we break it down into parts, which I've mentioned some of them already. So when we think of fatigue, we talk about antecedents. So this may be genetics. This could be prior traumas. This could be prenatal stress. How did your mom feel when she was pregnant with you? Was she working? Was she sick? Where did she live? Did she live next to a factory, or was she exposed to any toxic chemicals? The epigenetics. So what were the things going on in your parents' life that might have switched some of those genes on for them, right? You may have the same genes, but we really control what turns on and what turns off. And then family. So sometimes, there's certain illnesses or diseases that tend to be more in Jewish families or Italian families. So there's a lot of these things that are antecedents that we don't really have a whole lot of control over, but it's good to know what they are. And then triggers. So this is that kind of aha moment where you say, after this happened, I haven't been well since. So this could be things like infections, allergies, medications, surgeries. You have anesthesia, it changes your brain. Major stressors, if you had a leak in the basement and there's mold in the house, so all of those kinds of things. And then mediators. So these are things that kind of keep that illness going. These are the perpetuators, right? And this could be things like inflammation, it could be family stress, it could be job stress, it could be nutrient deficiencies, it could be errors of metabolism. Say you have like an autoimmune condition, genetic defect, something like that, that's going to keep that physiology working the way it does. And then after we've kind of deciphered some of these things, then we break it up into different nodes. So the assimilation node, this really is anything that is from the outside that goes inside. So this is the food we eat. This is the digestive tract. This is the air you breathe into the lungs. It has to get absorbed and assimilated into the body. So things like low hydrochloric acid in your belly, if you're using PPIs, if you're using antacids, if you have vitamin deficiencies, if you don't have the right bacteria. So dysbiosis, and we'll see a little bit later, dysbiosis are bad bacteria that don't let the good bacteria function the way they're supposed to. So that's really where we get a lot of our serotonin from. That gets converted to melatonin that helps us sleep. That's where we get a lot of the B vitamins from. So, and we're learning more and more about probiotics that we're almost able to really target the probiotic to the problem. And things like sleep apnea or COPD, when you can't get the air in your lungs, or pollution, things like that, which may affect how we breathe. So for energy, which today's talk is mostly about energy, but if we have excess oxidative stress, so this is whenever your biochemistry works in your body, it's like a factory, right? So it produces waste, and oxidative stress is that waste. So we really depend on the liver to be able to detox some of that. Things like diabetes or iron deficiency, these are going to deplete our energy because a lot of energy goes into kind of mitigating those and navigating those issues. Structural integrity, if you have a concussion, which we were talking about before, if you have a leaky gut, so we're looking at structure, not just your bones and your skin, but we're looking structure on a cellular level and on a systems level, organ level. Defense and repair, this is really your immune response to these triggers, like dysbiosis, autoimmunity, if you've had chemotherapy or radiation. So those affect your immune response to things. It really lowers your immune defense. Things like long COVID. Transport, so transport is really your lymphatic system. This is your circulatory system. So it's your nervous system. So how well those signals are able to travel. Whether you have vascular issues, do you have high blood sugar that can create more inflammation, that's going to make you have more cardiovascular risk, those sorts of things. Do you have difficulty with lymph congestion? And then finally, communication, which is really, this is your neurotransmitters, this is your hormones, where your brain is communicating with the rest of your body. In the center is always the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspect of this. So if you have past trauma, if you have cognitive decline, right? Do you have a purpose in life? Or are you just kind of wandering around? Do you have low self-esteem? Do you have what's called shame or learned helplessness, where you've been told so many times that you can't, you really start to believe it? So this has an effect on your physiology. And then looking at sleep and relaxation, exercise, nutrition. So your diet matters. Your stress and your anxiety matters. Chronic pain matters. Unsupported caregiving. Isolation, grief. Shallow breathing and not having time in nature, not having enough time to relax. So how do we fix it? So there's a lot of things on this slide, and I'm going to go through just briefly some of the ways that we can kind of try and put all this back together. So again, it always goes back to the modifiable lifestyle factors. So if we can't fix it with food, we try and fix it with things that we do every day that we can change. Okay? Habits, yeah. So who here sleeps well?
I do now.
You do now, good.
Medicine is required?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So when we're sleeping, we need to really think about it. We need to create time for sleep, right? We need to have a cool, comfortable place. We need to have a sleepy routine, nighttime routine. We need to have a morning routine. So when you get up, get out of bed, open the windows, get yourself exposed to light. Being able to meditate, relaxation response. So breathing like the 4-7-8 breathing, which activates the parasympathetic or relaxation type part of the immune system and kind of tones down that sympathetic. And then things like if you're having trouble going to sleep, melatonin. If you wake up at night, something like phosphatidylserine is very calming. Adrenal support, if you have that extra, like if I get up past 9 o'clock, I get a cortisol boost. That's my second wind, and then I can't go to sleep. So sometimes supporting the adrenals in that way can lower that. And then GABA, which goes around your brain, shuts all the lights off. And then L-theanine, which is just good all day, every day. It's just very relaxing and calming. Exercise. So you've got to move it, move it. If you're not moving it, what is it doing, right? Sitting is the new smoking. So if you're not moving, I don't know what you would say. You're stagnant, right? You're not doing enough. So exercise to your energy capacity. If you don't have a lot of energy, if you don't have a lot of oxygen, if you're anemic, don't go and run a marathon. You have no place going and doing HIIT training. You don't have enough energy. You don't have enough oxygen. So you have to kind of look at how much energy you have and then balance that. So maybe some light stretching, yoga, a light jog, a walk, something like that might be a better exercise to start with. Allowing yourself to recover afterwards. So it's great that everyone, if you want to exercise every day, but you do have to let your body kind of recoup its resources. And then varietize your exercise. So do some stretching, do some aerobic exercise, do some strength training, keep those bones nice and strong, swim. And exercise really does a lot. So exercise stimulates your neurotransmitters, your endorphins, your endocannabinoids. These are all the good guys. These are all the feel-good chemicals. It creates a transient increase in the barrier of the gut. So it stimulates the immune system to do just minor things. Immune modulation, it changes your antibodies, energy, and muscle metabolism, but also it helps you balance your blood sugars, because blood sugars over time equals inflammation. And then weight management, which the GLP-1 drugs, all of those, people are losing weight, but they're also losing muscle. So going on those just for kicks, just to lose weight, is not the best idea. So really, hit nutrition. We can talk all day about nutrition. Eating the rainbow. So try and eat 4 or 5 servings of different colored vegetables. Mindful eating. So I don't know when it developed, but I usually finish my whole plate before everyone else even sits down. Like I wolf my food down. So I've started trying to chew 30 times and, look at the food and say, I thank you, food. I'm so grateful. And, it
There's
works.
There's an app for that, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's an app for it.
It probably counts down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by then I'm usually so
that I'm using
famished
it,
that works for like the first 2 bites and then just shove it in. Things like your B vitamins and zinc and magnesium, we need these as cofactors in order to make mitochondria. So if you're deficient in them, you can't make them. And magnesium is used in 300 different functions in the body. Berberine is great for blood sugar balancing, vitamin D, sulforaphane, inflammation. You need your iron, you need your omegas. So there's a lot of things on this list. So time-restricted eating is also helpful. It gives the body a rest.
You mean by fasting?
Yeah,
Fasting.
yeah. Intermittent fasting. Yeah, that's why I put those together. Time-restricted eating and intermittent fasting. So it kind of lets your metabolism know that something's changed and it needs to start kind of burning those calories. And the phytonutrient spectrum. So I gave everybody a list of foods and they're all different colors and it tells what those different colors do. So I like that list because sometimes you want to eat red foods or you want to eat purple foods, but you don't want to eat the same one all the time. Yeah. So look at that, see if there's anything that you maybe don't recognize, and then try and get that. And it also gives little tidbits on what those different colors do for your physiology. And then try and keep it fresh. So I know, Sonia, you're really good at this, but keep a bowl of fresh cut vegetables on the table or a bowl of fruit. Bring those to work with you as a snack so they're close by so you don't run out to the food truck. Choose fruits for dessert instead of candy. Make foods that have different colors and flavors in, like stir fries. Throw a bunch of stuff in the pot or throw a bunch of vegetables in an omelet. Yeah, stuff like that. And also use sauces like pestos or chimichurri. Like those are loaded with all kinds of herbs and things. So you can bang a lot in there and then you can dip your vegetables in it. And so you're getting a serving that way.
Lots of natural medicine.
Yes, yeah. And try things like cauliflower instead of your potatoes. Try using squash instead of corn. So try and make different choices.
I think planning is the key, right?
Yeah, planning is hard.
Really is the key, and I think that's a lot of the struggles for
Yeah, and that's why I think
women in particular.
Yes.
Because we handle so much.
Yeah, it's very
in
true.
the household, or just in general. So planning is really, really key for this.
Yeah, I find that's difficult, and then also, if not everybody in the house eats the same things, so it's trying to make a different food for everybody, or being the only one that'll eat certain foods. You buy it and you eat it, and then it kind of sits there because there's nobody else to eat it. So that's another problem. And then your omegas. So these are really your anti-inflammatories. So this is going to help with brain inflammation. It's going to help with body inflammation. Helps with healthy aging, cardiovascular risk. This is your chia, your flax, your EPA, your DHA. Flax and chia are great, but even on your best day, only about 5% of what you eat is being converted to an anti-inflammatory fish oil.
Why is that?
It's the enzymes.
What makes
it's
it
not
stop
a very
from getting absorption? What makes it stop from?
It's not that it gets absorbed and digested, but it's the way the enzymes process. It uses a lot of energy, and the amount that actually gets converted to the actual EPA that's helpful is very low.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and then if you don't have the magnesium, if you don't have the cofactors for the enzymes, which can get downregulated by inflammation and blood sugar,
right,
then you're not converting any of it.
Wow.
So that's why fish oils are a really good supplement. Or your smash fish, that's your salmon, your mackerel, your anchovies, your, salmon, herring, and what's the other one? Sardines.
Sardines, yes.
Sardines.
I love sardines.
Mm-hmm. And stress, right? So yoga and meditation. Time in nature, right? Go and stand in the woods. So things like earthing, and there's a new thing called forest bathing. Has anyone heard of that?
Yep.
Go walk in the woods, and every one of your senses is stimulated. There's wood, there's the smells, there's the sounds of the leaves, there's the sounds of the trees. You're seeing all these different colors, and you're seeing birds fly. You're hearing
from the leaves are expelled into the air, and they reduce stress.
Yeah.
Sanjay Gupta did a whole series on Netflix, and he does a whole series in Japan.
Yeah.
Because they're very stressed there on this forest bathing.
Yeah.
And he talks about the essential oils from
Yep.
the leaves.
So there's a lot to be learned when you just go for a walk in the woods. Except around here, make sure you don't get any bear and stuff like that.
Ticks.
Right, ticks. Yeah.
And then you come back with lime.
And then just practice awareness, compassion, and gratitude. Just be thankful. We all have a lot of really good things. It could always be worse, right? So just be aware of what you have. Be thankful for what you have. And then your animals, snuggle them. Love them, snuggle them, because they're so delicious and they want love and you need their love and everything. And then community, so meaningful relationships. Be with people that you love, be with people that you care about. Connection and belonging, whether that means a group like this or going to church or synagogue, or belonging to a music group, whatever it is, hockey team, could be anything. Mental well-being is important. Inspiration, what inspires you? Sometimes it's hard. You get kind of stuck in doing the same thing every day and you lose sight of, what is inspiring me? And then emotional and spiritual support.
One of the things that, do you mind if I interrupt you?
No, it's okay.
Or add? I didn't mean to interrupt. But one concept that's come up is finding a unicorn space. And this means finding a new hobby or a new artistic outlet or something that you would never think, like archery or pottery, and finding something where you're removed from your family, from your phone, and it's only you with the community that is around you, has many, many benefits.
Yeah, it could also be scary.
Scary. Sometimes you need that. You need to be out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Which sometimes that could create stress, but it's not meant to create stress.
Yeah. And that's called hormesis, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So hormesis is creating a stress for the body that actually kind of wakes it up and shocks it so that it starts to kind of look at that stress and kind of fix it. So things like heat and cold. So cold exposure. So this is like our cryotherapy. Go outside in the winter and take a walk for 15 minutes. So what these things do is they increase the amount of brown adipose tissue as opposed to the yellow fluffy stuff. And that helps with blood sugar balancing. It helps with mitochondrial biogenesis. So it gives us the building blocks to make more energy. And studies have been done where they do surveys, and it helps to decrease the signs and symptoms of depression. People generally feel better. They report that their mood is better and their quality of life is better.
So when you go out, when it's cold, are you supposed to be dressed like you're being warmer?
Well, I think the idea is to kind of stress the body a little bit. So
A little
where,
bit
you don't want to go out in shorts and a t-shirt,
Right.
but maybe not wear that super duper parka and cover your face and cover your legs and, so I don't think that's the idea. But they also have the cryo tanks where you can go and you can dunk.
The cold plunges,
And
right?
the cold plunges. So those are good, 50 degrees. You can also do colder ones, but you want to make sure that you're not going in for too long.
Right.
So, and if you have hypertension or unstable blood pressure, if you're a child, so there are definitely reasons not to do that. And then definitely if you don't like cold, it's probably not the best therapy for you because you're not going to like it.
I did cryo the chamber.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't think
It was torture.
I don't like being cold.
It was really good though. I did it for a consecutive period of time.
Yeah.
But it was definitely torture.
Yeah. And then heat. So there's two different kinds of sauna, right? We have our infrared sauna, and then we have the Finnish type of sauna, which is the one with the steam, it's like the rocks, the volcanic rocks, so you have humidity in there. So those are usually about 174 degrees, whereas the infrared is about 140 degrees. So, but there's no humidity in the infrared ones. So this could also be taking hot showers, sitting in hot tubs, heat blankets, heat lamps, so all of those things can help. And what this does is your body produces these heat shock proteins. And so it's this group of proteins that they get synthesized, and it helps your body deal with stress. So it's kind of amazing how the body kind of knows what to do. But going in the sauna every day helps to develop these proteins, and so it kind of helps your body to handle stress better.
And the infrared, is that not also good throughout the winter when we, get less sun exposure?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit when we talk about
sorry.
light. Yeah. So light therapy. So this is the near infrared. This is the 760 to 1400s. And when you go out and you walk in the sun, that infrared spectrum is getting through your clothes. It's getting through your skin. I mean, unless you're wearing like super duper layers and stuff like that. Morning and afternoon are best. So you don't want to really go in the high part of the day. And sources would be sunlight, the low level light therapy, which is why the laser that we have here works so well. So it penetrates, it brings more oxygen to the tissues. So it stimulates mitochondria. It actually gets into the mitochondria. So it's actually a physiologic therapy. And then hyperbarics. So this is something kind of new to me. They've been using it for a long time when you go diving and you have the bends, or carbon monoxide, because those oxygen, they bind irreversibly, so they try and lower the oxygen pressure so they can knock it off. But short term, when you first start this, things get a little worse. So it kind of reduces mitochondrial function, and it tells those damaged mitochondria basically to kill themselves. It signals cell apoptosis, which is cell death. So it wants to get rid of all the bad stuff. But then once you get past that part, then you start to synthesize new mitochondria. And so they find at 20 sessions or more, it really improves the mitochondrial base. It improves your antioxidant activity. So all of that cellular stress that your body produces every day, this really helps to take it away.
So what is it, a chamber?
It's a chamber, yeah. There's different ways to do it, but what they do now is they have these chambers and you kind of lay in it. And then you set it so it decreases the oxygen pressure. And
Your
so
head is in there as well?
Yeah, your whole body is in there.
Like
Yeah, I've never done it because I don't like being like in a tube.
Yeah.
But I do know people who do it, and they think it's very helpful. Do you know anybody who's done it?
I can't say I do.
Okay.
How long are the sessions?
I believe, I want to say like 20 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it really depends. Some people have these at home. Some people will stay in there for an hour.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about being in a and I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, we're just in a cough at this point. We're lowering oxygen.
Yeah,
and
kind
we're
of.
into-
Yeah, yeah.
No, thank you.
So I don't know if you saw Deadpool, but that's the thing that finally makes him like morph into Deadpool. So I kind of think like I don't want to do that, but. And then really important is to be able to take all these chemicals and all of this waste and get rid of it. So detoxing is super important too, where we take these lipid soluble, fat soluble compounds and these enzymes in the body kind of break them down and they make them more dangerous. So that's the first step. They make them more dangerous, more oxidative stress, more RNA and DNA damage, but the body's not stupid. So we have this thing called conjugation, so it attaches a molecule to it to make it water soluble. And when things are water soluble, we can pee them out, we can sweat them out, and then we can poop them out. So our little poop emoji, I thought he was really cute. The problem is that when we have things like dysbiosis or bad bacteria in the gut, that bacteria is going to unconjugate everything that we've conjugated. So with leaky gut, if you're trying to detox and then the bugs are retoxing, then you're kind of going around in a big circle and you're just getting more toxic. So you really just don't feel well. That's why leaky gut, if you don't know what to do, start with your gut. And then just to kind of summarize, we always take food first approach, right? We try to decrease your inflammation, fix your gut. We try to support your adrenal glands, your stress. We try to balance your blood sugars. We have to take care of the liver for detoxing and gallbladder because that's what emulsifies those fat substances. Support your brain. It's the only one you have, right? And then exercise and supplements if you need it. So the intention is not to go on supplements and stay on them forever. It's to supplement exactly that. Supplement what you don't have and then try and supply it in another way or help your body to manufacture it on its own. So if I had to pick 4, because not everyone wants to be on 27 different supplements, I always pick be on a multivitamin and a mineral because those are cofactors in just about everything. Your omegas for your brain, omegas for your inflammation, omegas for your joints, omegas for so many different things. Vitamin D. Vitamin D helps your immune system, your bones, your skin, your hair, just so much. And then pre and probiotics. So now what they're starting to do is they're taking what the problem is, they're finding the perfect probiotic, and they're packaging that up, and then they're surrounding it with food. So we know what its job is, and then we're giving it food, and then we're sending it in. So it's like the perfect little camping trip for them, right?
Is there a recommended way to get your omegas, like fish oil supplements? Are they good, or is there a different?
It depends on quality. So if you take a fish oil and it tastes fishy, if you're burping it, if it smells funny, it's probably not a very good fish oil. And then the dosage is really important. So with any supplements, you could take magnesium, but if you're taking 10 milligrams of magnesium every day, it's not going to do anything. You want to take 300 to 450 milligrams. You know, you want to take a magnesium that's attached to an amino acid, so a glycinate or a citrate. You know, you don't want to take an oxide, something like that. With the omegas, there's a couple of brands that's all they do is omegas, so like Nordic. But you want to take anywhere from 2 grams to 4 grams, sometimes even more. You can take up to 10% of your body weight in grams, depending on what you need it for. So if you need it for brain health, cognitive health, DHA is really key. That goes right into the brain. If you need it for inflammation or you need it for cardiovascular risk, so to to raise HDL, lower LDL, VLDLs, you want to take about 4 grams.
So that's okay.
Yeah, now you can try and get that. You can eat lots of salmon and you can eat your smashed fish and all that kind of stuff. There's other sources. But sometimes if you want to get off that statin medication or you want to, do something quicker, you gotta just take them.
Also menopause.
And menopause, yeah. So if we were to talk about additional supplements, so of course the adaptogens, which are for the adrenals, your gut supplements, you guys can read through this, but inflammation, your turmeric and your ginger, detox, vascular. So the key with the vascular issues is that we usually have the blood pressure issues, we've got the coronary artery disease, so we've got the calcium and the plaques. But if you have blood sugar issues, that's the match. So you can have a calcium score, but great blood pressure or blood sugar control. It's when you have both of those together. That's how you cook a heart attack. So things like arterosil annattos, which is the trienol part of the vitamin E's. So usually we take these tocopherols. There's a trienol, and those are better for cardiovascular inflammation. And then balancing hormones, of course. So there's a few adrenal supplements. Phosphatidylserine also is just, it works directly on the cortisol control. So it tones that stress response right down. Memory, ginkgo biloba, the DHEA. Phosphatidylcholine, which is in the outside of all of our nerves. Anxiety and sleep, I kind of went through some of those. So remember, if you're feeling tired, you have to look to the mighty medical mitochondria. Because if you have your neurology, your physiology, and your immunology, it all goes awry if the mitochondria don't supply the energy to help everything work.
The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
It
I learned
is.
that in grade school.
Yeah, everyone knows that, right? But if you ask people, like, what does mitochondria do? They say, oh, it's the powerhouse of the cell. But they don't know the other 50 things that it does. Nobody can, yeah. Even in a room filled with doctors, they ask that question, and everyone still says, it's the powerhouse of the cell. No one knows what it does. So again, there's my information. Thank you very much.
That was great.
And that's
Even though I came late.
it. Yay.